Hi, I'm Jaime González, the Community and Equitable Conservation Director for the Nature Conservancy in Texas. And today we're in Burnett Balin Park, the one major park in the community of Gulfton, which is in southwest Houston. I think the concept of regeneration is really critical. A lot of times when we talk about neighborhoods like Gulfton and other places, we say that we want them to be resilient, to be able to bounce back from setbacks like hurricanes or economic disruption or pandemics. But regeneration is taking it that step further. Sure, we want to make it resilient, but regeneration is meaning that we're actually leaning into making it even better than it was before the disruption. So for me, regeneration is about both the cultural aspect, so how do you regenerate this connection to nature and all the many benefits that it brings, but it's also how do you literally regenerate nature so that it is healthier for all the residents of the neighborhood. This butterfly garden is managed by an incredible group called Madres del Parque, which is led by Maria Hernandez, who's very passionate about wildlife, the earth, and connecting people to nature. This is a Texas wildflower legend. This is called firewheel, and it attracts lots of different kinds of bees. Even more so in a neighborhood that lacks nature, this provides lots of beauty. And so the residents told us that they wanted not just plants to help them combat the heat, but they want it to be artful. And so what we want to do is we want to regenerate nature in this neighborhood. And in a lot of ways, regenerate that connection to nature that is so important to the residents here. I really love this skate park. My son and I come over here every once in a while, but it's a good example of where community interest and engagement can make for a better place. So the skate park here was actually advocated for and partially designed by local kids who live in the neighborhood. You know, one of the goals of Greener Gulfton and the revitalization of this neighborhood is to ensure that residents don't have to leave their neighborhood to experience some of the things that other Houstonians get in their civic spaces. We're here on Gulfton Street. This is really a major corridor that runs through this neighborhood. One thing to know about Gulfton is it's Houston's densest but also most diverse neighborhood, probably the most diverse neighborhood in the state of Texas. There are over 70 languages and dialects spoken in this neighborhood. And because this is our Ellis Island, people come here not with a lot of resources. So one of the things that they take advantage of here is the relatively inexpensive housing. And it has this kind of lush tree canopy here of oaks and magnolias and ash trees. And this is really what the whole neighborhood should look like. These trees provide an immense amount of cooling to the neighborhood. Unfortunately, this is probably the least treed neighborhood in the city. And that's why when we did the 2020 Houston Harris heat mapping campaign, this neighborhood was the hottest neighborhood in the county that we measured, a full 17 degrees hotter than the coolest neighborhood in the county, causing all sorts of climate vulnerabilities. You know, the goal is to get the whole neighborhood to have more trees. We're here at the corner of Gulfton Street and Rampart, and this corner is kind of emblematic of Gulfton. Very heavily traveled by pedestrians, lots of different stores and storefronts and shops, a lot of diversity here. Behind me is one of the most famous murals on the Gulfton Story Trail. It's just hopeful, beautiful rendering of the diversity and youth of the neighborhood, which is fantastic. But this corner here is also emblematic of some of the challenges that this community has with lack of nature. Oftentimes, these kinds of communities are now called nature-deprived neighborhoods. And what it means is they're lacking the nature necessary to protect them from climate change, to provide for their mental and physical well-being, and to create more equitable landscapes. So whenever I want to conceive of what changes could happen here, and I talk to community members about changes, I think about this corner, Rampart and Gulfton, because it is a place where innovation can happen, regeneration of nature can happen, and where we could do it at a scale that helps people. Concrete is not a neutral surface. And what I mean by that is it has deleterious impacts on human health and well-being. Looking at concrete reduces your self-esteem, feelings of self-worth. So these concreted hard spaces, wherever they occur, are doing actual harm to the residents daily. So one of the things we want to do is make sure that we regenerate the nature in this neighborhood, not just because it's protective and not just because it'll look better, but it'll actually be a piece of mental health infrastructure for the community. So one of the things that we're looking at doing is incorporating lots of different interventions, from green bus stops to shading structures that can go along corridors like this, to green stormwater, which can both capture the water coming off of here and filter it and clean it, but also add variety and beauty and nature into the neighborhood. So there's not going to be one silver bullet to all of the issues that are here. It's going to be a combination of tree plantings and green stormwater and shade structures and vines and flowers and all of that to get this to be more of a garden neighborhood where people can have that nature that is very protective for them. Regreening, regeneration of nature in here should be a civic act. And what I mean by that is, one of the things that people told us is they want a lot more civic spaces that are artful and nature rich. So regeneration looks less like building a community for cars and more like building a community for the humans that live here and the indigenous species.